Hello there. This is Leadership Monday. Leadership Monday coming to you from Emmet Leadership Academy. And on behalf of Emmet Leadership, my name remains Olatunji Shobodu. Olatunji Shobodu is my name. CEO, founder, Emmet Leadership Academy. At Emmet Leadership Academy, we nurture leaders based on truth. Let's get down to business this Monday. Recall, this is your leadership nugget delivered to you every Monday from our stable, and it's to empower you and to challenge you, and indeed to encourage you to do leadership right. To do leadership right. Today, we're speaking on the subject love one another. Love one another. I'm going to be sharing today on this very common concept, very common because that's a word that we use so regularly, it's almost unbelievable. All right? It's almost unbelievable. But I want to speak from an angle that is leadership. And that is something that I believe that many of us take for granted. It's something that we don't pay a lot of attention to. If you look at John 15, verses 16 and 17, there you would find what I call the call to lead and the mandate of the leader. The call to lead and the mandate of the leader. What does that verse of scripture say? It says, "You did not choose me. I chose you, and I appointed you to go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should remain or should abide or should last." It said, so that then you would ask whatever you want from my Father, and he will give it to you. Then verse 17 says, love one another. It says, my command is that you love one another. So today, actually, I'm looking at this from another perspective, which is the hard but sure route to leadership success. The hard but sure route to leadership success. Let me start by submitting to you on the basis of that call to lead, that you are called to lead. However your appointment came, however you found yourself in a leadership position, you have been called to lead. Actually, everyone, I believe, is called to lead because everyone should put himself or herself in a place to be a blessing to others. That is what leadership is about. He said, I have chosen you, I called you, I appointed you. In fact, I ordained you as well to go and bear fruit, to go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should abide. Now, so you have the calling. The mandate, I believe, is very clear. And it's a mandate that challenges you to ensure that the impact of your fruit, the impact of your contribution, it goes, it lasts. That is, it outlasts you, it outlives you, actually. All right. But I want to draw attention to an aspect of that calling because you and I don't have the freedom to lead anyhow we like. I love that mandate because that mandate not only calls us to lead, it not only says that we have also been given that ability to provide good leadership, it also tells us how we should go about doing it. That's what verse 17 talks about. It says, this commandment I have given you, that you love one another, that you love one another. So the route or the route, as the case may be, all right, whether you are UK English or American, is that in order for you to lead, you must lead from the heart of love. You must lead from the place of love. That is, don't do leadership. Don't conduct yourself as a leader without the heart of love. The heart of love is the root to effective leadership. You must come to the table. You must relate with your people in love. I believe that if a lot of leaders examine themselves, if we look inwards and we're sincere to ourselves, we would find this important ingredient missing. Many leaders are not, they are not walking the path of love towards their people. Far from it. They are not walking the path of love towards their people. And I remember the Bible tells us very clearly, it said, against love, there is no other. There is nothing when a man leads from the heart of love, from the place of love. When you lay hold on the instrument of love as the cornerstone of your leadership, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. No one can walk against you. Have you seen anybody who truly loves? Excuse me. Who truly shows love that people don't have respect for, that people don't believe in, that people don't reciprocate with love as well. That's how powerful love is. That's how powerful love is. It's a sure route to success as a leader. You want to succeed as a leader, maybe you are frustrated, maybe you are going through challenges, maybe you are wondering why you are not making impact. You need to look inwards and examine your heart. What heart do you bring to this responsibility? How do you see your people? Do you still see them as instruments to be used? Do you see them as people to shout on, to back at? Do you see them as people who are not emotional, who don't have feelings? Do you see them as being there only to help you to make the numbers? If those are the ways by which you look at your people, or the prism through which you look at them and you walk with them, then you have it all mixed up. You shouldn't be surprised at the result you're getting. You shouldn't be surprised if there are people who are rebellious. You shouldn't be surprised if people are working with you, but they are not committed. When you relate with them in the manner that you have been doing, they can't be committed. But when you relate with love, from a place of love, from a heart of love, they would find it difficult not to reciprocate. They'll find it difficult not to reciprocate. Forget all the technical skills and all of that. If there is one skill that you need to develop, it is how to walk in love. It is how to show love. It is how to show love. All right. Now, many times we talk about love. And like I said, it's a hard but sure route. It's hard because it's tough for each of us to bring ourselves to show love, to give in to the demands of love, because the demands of love are tough. I don't want to go into that detail right now, but I'll refer you to 1 Corinthians 13 and verses 4 to 7. Okay, and you see how every other thing that you do without love makes no sense. All right, brings you no value, brings you no fulfillment. All right, because love is a cornerstone. And that's why it was exciting, to see Jesus point his people in the direction of what will make them successful as leaders. He told them, said, yes, it's true. You didn't choose me. I chose you. But it's important that you also do this assignment the way that I know leads to its success. He had done it. He walked in love towards his disciples. So he was saying to them, love is the key. You want to bear fruit, love. You want your fruit to abide, love. That's the key. That's the key. All right. So what is this love? Let me You can look at it, I said, in greater detail. But let me draw your attention to something that's very simple. And love is basically defined as obedience to the instructions of the leader. Obedience to the instructions of the leader. I mean, Jesus was saying, He said, if you love me, then you will keep my commandments. It's that simple. You want to say you love me? You want to say that you want your people to love you, all right? Now, it's about keeping your instructions, keeping to your instructions, keeping to your instructions. That's the proof of love, all right? That's the proof of love, is keeping to your instructions, keeping to your instructions. And God repeated it in many places. That's how important it is. At a point, God was saying, He said, these people, they claim to love me, they praise and worship me with their mouth, but their heart is far from me. Their heart is far from me. What He was saying is that they are saying it, but they are not doing it. That's what the Pharisees were noted for. That's what many leaders are noted for. They behave like Pharisees. Jesus said to His people, He said, look, beware of the leaven, of the teaching of the Pharisees. He said, pay attention to what they say, but don't do what they do. Listen to what they say, because they are the interpreters, they are the custodians of the laws, of the rules, of the policies. They know the principles, but they don't follow them. So you don't do that, but you learn the principles and learn to obey them. Okay, so He was saying to them again, the key to true leadership is love. It is hearing the instructions and doing it. It is hearing the instructions and doing it. So as a leader, it is focusing your people on your instructions, on your word, on the direction you're showing, on the guidance that you're providing, and walking with them to walk in, to obey those instructions, And, it comes, the way you show it is actually that you also, as a leader, you are walking according to the instructions of the one, under whom you previously served. So when you were working with other leaders, were you obedient? The practice of leadership now, are you following the things that they say? In that case, are you walking in love towards them? Because now you are an example to your people. They are looking at what you are saying, they are looking at what they're doing, and they're wondering, where did you get all of this from? Jesus always used to say to them, what I heard from my Father is what I do. What I hear from my Father is not me, it's not what I'm doing, it's not what I came up with by myself. I am following instructions. I am doing what my Father, my leader, taught me to do. I am walking in love. And He said that that's why my Father loves me, because I do only the things that He has commanded. That is walking in love, my friend. That is walking in love, their leader. It begins with you. You have to put the same to practice. You have to get your people to that point where they appreciate that the things you are doing are the things that you learned from others, from your own leaders. And that way they can respect your demand, all right, for them to live according to what you are saying. It's interesting that the Bible says in Romans 13, it says there is only one thing that you are allowed to owe, all right, that you shouldn't owe, or rather, it said, owe no man nothing except to love him, all right? So that's how cornerstone love is. That's how cornerstone to leadership love is. You can see an emphasis on that. He said, don't owe any man anything. What you owe each person is love. So I challenge you to pay your debt of love towards your people. As a leader, pay your debt of love towards. You owe your people to love them. You don't owe them any other thing, so to speak. But everything that falls within the sphere of love towards them, you owe them. They deserve it. It's an entitlement to them. I mean, you only owe somebody when something is an entitlement. When you have taken perhaps a loan, or when you are commanded, all right, to do it. And that confers an entitlement on them. So your people are entitled to love from you, their leader. Your people are entitled to love, to enjoy love from you, deep-seated love, sincere love. They are entitled to it. They are entitled to it. All right? They're entitled to it. But it's the hardest part of leadership, like I said. Why? The opposite of it is pride. And guess what? Pride is what the average person tends to fall into. And we're looking at ourselves. And pride is tricky when it comes to leadership. Why? Because the leader is often seen as the one ahead, as the one above, as the one who is privileged. And so if he's not careful, he begins to lift his or her shoulder. It's easy for a leader to fall to pride. They command power, they have authority, and they say go, and this one goes, they say come, and this one comes. Even if they don't go or they don't come, with their heart in it, but they do it because of power. Now, when you call the shots, when people hear your word and they have to jump, as it were, when they have to respect what you say from the place of authority, you have to be careful because you can fall into pride. Now, Jesus said something about love, and this is why it's such a harder part of the calling to lead. He says that there is no greater love, all right, that a man can show to his friend. Okay, he said it is to sacrifice his life for his friend. That is, love involves huge sacrifice. When you look at the concept, the perspective from which we're examining it today, which is obedience to the instructions of others, in which case you as a leader, obedience to the instructions of your own superiors in guiding and nurturing this new set of people that you're presiding over. Obedience requires sacrifice. Obedience to the words of some other people, to the thinking of some other people, to the approaches of some other people, to the dictates of some other people require sacrifice. Why? Because you have to set aside your own thinking. You have to set aside the way you would have loved to do things so that you can accommodate theirs. That's the sacrifice of obedience. Obedience means that you set aside your right to decide, to make your choice, and you submit to the choice of others, the choice of your leader. That's not the easiest thing for anybody to do. That's not what you and I find easy to do. But that is the discipline that leadership calls us to. It's the discipline that leadership calls us to. That's why the world is as it is today. Everybody wants to be independent. Everybody wants to do their own thing. Everybody even want to call themselves anything. Male, female, transgender, whatever. It's no longer according to the rules. No, it's not done that way. That's why Jesus said, let me tell you before you get confused, that the way to succeed as a leader, the root is love. It is tough because of the sacrifice, because you have to forget yourself, because you have to understand that it's not about you, but it's about the people that you're leading. But that's the sure way to succeed. It's not about technical skills. I mean, we can acquire technical skills, but they don't teach you how to deal with people. All right? Leadership is about people. And there's a way to do it. It can't be done haphazardly. Just because you have been called to lead doesn't mean that you can do anything. Yes, it's your tenure, but there is a way to do leadership right. There is a way that leads to success as a leader. Let me close by drawing attention to something that's also very important. And I saw this when Moses, called, was handing over to Joshua. And Joshua was being told, be bold and courageous as it came to this function. That's what he was told. He said that then they said to him, he said, you should not depart from these commands I have given you to the right or to the left. Tough. So Moses was calling Joshua to walk in love towards him in doing leadership. He was saying to Joshua, obey all the commands I have given you. This is how to succeed in this calling to leadership. When this mantle of leadership is placed on your shoulders, this is how to make it work. This is how to succeed. This is how to ensure that your people benefit from it. This is how to set yourself up to get a reward, the desired reward of leadership. He said, don't go to the right or to the left. I found that very instructive. Very instructive. All right? The safe way to go is to obey the commands that I have given you. Walk in love. Said, approach this leadership responsibility from the place of love, from the heart of love. Don't go there thinking that you can do anything that you like, because it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So I want to challenge you. As a leader, how do you lead? How do you lead? Why are you so challenged? Are you following the path of love towards the people you lead? How do you see them? Do you see them as instruments to be used? Or do you see them as partners in progress? Or do you in fact see them as children put in your care to nurture so that they become more capable than you? They become of stronger character than you. They are put in a place or developed to a point where they can add more value to the society or even to that organization than you. This is the substance of leadership. This is how to get it right. The path of love is sure, but it's hard for the reasons that I have given. It's hard doesn't mean that it's not doable. It's doable because you see how to do it. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. All right, so that's your nugget for this week. Thank you for joining me. Today, we've been talking about, love one another, the hard but sure route to leadership success. And it's Leadership Monday coming to you from Emet Leadership Academy. And my name is Olatunji Shobodu, where we nurture leaders based on truth. We nurture leaders based on truth. Catch me on Thursday when we'll be examining on leadership in 30 minutes. And I'll be speaking to another very important aspect, on a more elaborate basis on the subject of leadership. We are all about leadership here. And I hope that you understand how serious it is, and that you would also put yourself in a place where you can contribute value to the society through the act of leadership. God bless you. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy a wonderful week. And remember, walk in love. as you lead. Walk in love. In all your relationships, walk in love towards others. That's the sure route to success, especially as a leader. Bye bye.